This is Amud Yomi Gemara Berachos Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, and we're holding on the very bottom of Lamed Aleph Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. Ve'amar Rav Elazar. Continuing, we concluded yesterday about Chana, that at some level the Gemara said she was itiach devarim klapei maila. She spoke to Hashem too strongly. Similarly, says Amar Rav Elazar Eliyahu itiach devarim klapei maila. Eliyahu Hanavi acted similarly. Shenemar v'ata masiboisa as liba achayranis. Excuse me. If you turned your heart backwards, and continues, Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Menai Shechazik Kadosh Baruch Hu v'Yadal Eliyahu. So Eliyahu didn't talk right. So how do we know that at the end of the day Hashem was the maskim and concurred and agreed with Eliyahu Hanavi in the top of Lamed Beis Amud Aleph Techsev V'Asher Hari Oisi, the one who I caused to be I caused them to be evil by how putting the Yitzhahara inside of them. Hashem commenting that he did indeed listen to Eliyahu Hanavi. So of course, then what's the problem if Hashem listened? Okay, a large discussion, not for now. Amar Rav Chanina, the top line of Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, says Rav Chanina Rav Chanina, if not for the following 3 psukim, literally the legs of the enemies of Klal Yisrael, which of course we know is euphemistically referring to Klal Yisrael, would stumble in judgment. One pasuk it says, I caused to be evil. Beis Israel, the clay in the hands of the potter, so to you, Klal Yisrael, are in my hands. That it says that Hashem, he could theoretically remove the Yetzer Hara. I'm going to remove Lasid Lava, the stone of heart, and I'll give you a heart of flesh. Different psukim showing the power of the Yetzer Hara and how Hashem thereby allows us not to falter, as he understands. It's not necessarily our problem because we have an incredibly large urge due to the Yetzer Hara. I'll put my spirit inside of you, and I'll make it so you could walk in my ways. Says the Gemara of Amar Rav Elazar. Continuing, going back to those who were Hitiach Dvarim, Klapei Maila, 6 lines down. First one line is Rav Elazar. Moshe Hitiach Dvarim Klapei Maila. Moshe Rabbeinu, Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Veisal Moshe El Hashem, and Moshe Rabbeinu Tavin to Hashem. Al Tikri El Hashem. Don't read the pasuk El Hashem. Ela Al Hashem. On Hashem. Shkin Divrei Rav Elazar ben Yaakov Karn Alfin Ein Alfin. To Rav Yani Amar Me'acha V'di Zahav. My V'di Zahav. So from Al Hashem we understand how it's referred to Moshe Rabbeinu Tavin too strongly at some level is Itiach Dvarim Klapei Maila. But where do we see from V'di Zahav? Amr Dvei Rav Yani Kacham Ramosh Al Ne'er Kadosh Baruch Hu Banin Shalaylam B'shal Kezev Zahav Sheishbat Olem Di Yisrael Ad Sha'amru Dai. You gave Klal Yisrael so much money to the point that they said, die. Therefore, Ugaram Shasas Egel. That's why, says Moshe Rabbeinu, Klal Yisrael committed the horrible sin, the terrible Avera of the Egel. Amr Dvei Rav Yanai. Says Rav Yanai, Einari no Yemi Kuba shall have, and a lion doesn't roar within a basket of straw. Kuba shall basar, meaning due to the excess, due to the meat, that's when the lion screams. Due to the excess that Klal Yisrael had, said Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why they stumble and falter. Amar Rav Aishia teaches Rav Aishia 5 lines from the wide lines. Mashla Adam Sheisla Park Kechusha Baal Sevarim. Person had a cow that was skinny. He fed it karshinim, not such good food, and it would kick him. Amar lei. He said to it, to me, Gara Malay Shatei Bimetes. Who caused you to kick me? Be El Karshinim Shachalta, is that which I gave you, so too. Klal Yisrael only does Averais due to the overwhelming generosity that Hashem gives to us. And just to point out over here, Karshinim, even though it's usually referred to vetch, not such good food. Over here it's referring to very desirable animal food. Amar Rav Cheva Rabba, Amar Rav Yechon, another mashal. Mashal Adam Echad Sheila Ben, he has a child, he bathes him, he anoints him, he feeds him and gives him drinks. But he puts a purse full of money in his neck, and he sits this child at the entrance to the Beis Zainais Masa also eventually. Do you think that child won't do an Aveir? Of course he will. So too is Al Klal Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying should be viewed in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amar Rav Acha B'rei Rav Huna Amar Rav Sheshes, on the first very wide line. Hainu Damri Inchi is what people say. Malay Kreise Zane Bisha, filling the stomach is of the terrible evil. Shenemar Kemar Isam Vayisbau. Savu vayaram liban al shechechuni. Only after they became satiated and full, that's when we become haughty and unfortunately forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Your heart becomes haughty, you forget Hashem. And the third pasuk, and you turn away from Hashem. They grew fat and they kicked the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Amr Rav Shobar Nachmini, Amr Rav Yehuna's son. Menayin shachotzik Kadosh Baruch Hu v'dalad Moshe Adamino 10 day Hashem was masking to Moshe Shneamar v'kesev v'rabisa Allah v'zav asa labal. I give them gold and silver and they use it for Baal. Such Kadosh Baruch Hu talking in the Navi Yeshaya, showing that he concurred with the words of Moshe Rabbeinu. On the fifth wide line, continues the Gemara back into the Egel Azav that was just mentioned moments ago. Go down, my Lechreid. What does that mean? I'm Rav Lazar. I'm Lekadosh Baruch Hu. Le Moshe. Moshe reid mi gedula ascha. Moshe, go down from your greatness. Kol nasati lecha gedula b'shli Yisrael. Why are you, Moshe Rabbeinu, great? Because of Klal Yisrael. V'achshav Yisrael chatu. Now that they did aveiros, atalamali. What do I have? What do I need for you, Moshe? Mi'atashish koich Moshe v'lay lekoich ledaber. Moshe's strength went out, and he wasn't able to talk. He wasn't able to advocate on behalf of Klal Yisrael. But as soon as Hashem said, leave me and I'll destroy them, showing that Moshe Rabbeinu had the power, that he was able to talk. Amar Moshe Davar Zatali Bi. I see that this is all up to me, says Moshe Rabbeinu. Miyad Amar v'nischazik b'tfila b'gish rachmim. He was nischazik himself, and he started davening. Mashal Melech Shekol Sabana. He gets angry at his son, and he hits him. And the king's friend is sitting there, and he's afraid to say anything. Amar Melech, the king says, if not for this person sitting here, I would kill you. He says to the kid. So the person sitting there realizes, Amar HaMelech, the king says to this prince, if not for this friend, excuse me, I just read that. So Amar, so the friend says, I see I have the power, Miad Amar v'etzila, and is able to save the son of the king. Continues the Gemara 10 lines into the very wide lines at the two dots. V'ata, continuing the story of Moshe Rabbeinu and HaKadosh Baruch Hu by the Egel. Hanichali, leave me, v'yicharab, let my anger flare up, v'achalim, and I'm going to destroy Klal Yisrael, v'esa Yisrael Gadol, I'll make you, Moshe Rabbeinu, into the great nation. Amr Avavu, Mali Mikra Kasav, Yav Shalayim, never be able to say, Mali Shetavs Moshe, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe, grab hold of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Badim Shetavs Tzchler B'Vigdai, like one who grabs his friend's clothing, V'amr Lefanav, and said, Rabbeinu Shalaylam, Ein Ani Manichacha, I'm not going to leave you until you forgive Klal Yisrael. I'll make you into a great nation. If a chair that has 3 legs, the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and yet when you are angry, Moshe says to Hashem, you're not able to. No one can stand in front of your anger. Kisei shel regel echad, a chair of only 1 leg, alachas kama ve'kama. Right? And not only that, al shei should be baishes panim me'avoisai. And furthermore, I am embarrassed in front of my fathers. Achshav Yaimu, now they're going to say, Ro Parno Shemet Aleim, look, the leader he put over them. Bikish Kedula Atzav, Bikish Aleim Rachman, he didn't daven for them. So says Moshe Rabbeinu, I can't stand, there's no way that I'm going to be the one that you're going to rebuild Klal Yisrael just for me. So continues the Psukim, Vayichal Moshe as B'nei Hashem, and Moshe davens with the word Vayichal, not Vayispalel. We're about smack in the middle of the very wide lines. The first word in the line is Moshe. Says the Gemara, until he was able to get Hashem to listen, Moshe Rabbeinu did not stop davening. V'Rava Amar Shevaloi Nidroi. He davened until Hashem annulled the neder. He will not profane his words. He cannot undo the neder, but others can indeed do it for him. Shmuel Amar, another psham, Moshe Rabbeinu risked his life for Klal Yisrael. Shnema Remi Ayin. But if I'm not, erase me from your book. Amar Rav Yitzchak Malamed Shachla Aleim Midas Rachamim. He caused the Midas of Rachman to rest upon Klal Yisrael. Rabbanan Amri Malamed Shamer Moshe Nekrish Baruch Rabbanin Shalaylam Chulin Ulachames. Let's cover that. Is it possible as a Chulin for you to do such a thing? And finally, Vaychal Moshe Bnei Hashem, one last pshat. Tanya Rav Lezer Agadol Eimer Malamed Aman Moshe B'Tfilah of Nekrish Baruch Hu Ad Shachazasai Achilai until Achilai grabbed hold of Moshe. My Achilai, says the Gemara. Amar Rav Elazar, my ish shalatzamos, fire of the bones. My ish shalatzamos, Amar Rabaya Ashti, the Garmi, bone fire, referring to a type of fever that Moshe Rabbeinu davened to literally, he was sick over his tefillos. Continues the Gemara, Zachar, Lavram, the Yitzhalis, Lavadechach, and Shvat Bach, remember the avos that you swore by them. My bach, what does it mean you swore by yourself? How do you made a shvua by Shemaim and Aretz, heaven and earth, easy Omer? I would have said, so to eventually heaven and earth won't be existent, so to your shvua, but you Hashem, may the shvua in your name, just like your name, continues the psukim. We're about 12 lines from the bottom. The first line is Vat Daber Aleim Arbe Zarachem Kochlei Hashmayim V'Klaris Azoyz Sharmarti, and he told them, I'll increase your children like the stars in the Shamayim and the entire land which I spoke to give you children. Hi Asher Amarti Asher Amartami Baile Amar Lazar I can't divri tam we can't be able to divri Rav. At this point, it's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is responding to Moshe. One shot. Second shot. Shmuel Barachmini Amar Il Bil Divri Tam, and Moshe Rabbeinu is still talking. Elikach Amar Moshe L'nei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rebbeinu Shalaylam Dvarim Shamarti Li Leich Amar Lam Yisrael B'Shmi. The words that you said to me, go tell Klal Yisrael in my name. Alach Tvarti Lam B'Shemcha. I went and I told your name. I quoted you Hashem. I said the Shvuah that you promised Beretz Canaan. Achshav Ma'ani Omer Lam. What am I going to be able to tell Klal Yisrael? And concludes the Gemara, Mevolti Yecheles Hashem, because Hashem lacked the ability. Yochel Hashem Yibayel. Hashem said Yochel. Amar Rav Elazar, Amar Moshe L'nei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rabbanei Shalaylam, Achshav Yemru Umas Ha'ilam. The nations of the world are going to say, Tashash Keichel in a cave of Yochel Atzel. Hashem's strength, Chas v'Shalom, is like a woman, and he's unable to save. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Moshe, V'alei Kfaro, Nisim Gvur, Shasislam Alayam. What do you mean? He saw the miracles of Yamsuf. Amar Lefanav, Rabbanei Shalaylam. Adayin Yesh Lehem Leimar. Still, people could say, L'melech Echad Yochel Lamoid. But L'shleishav Echem Lachem Ein Yochel Lamoid. Hashem was able to send him to one king, Parai, but not to all of Eretz Canaan. Amar Rav Yechanan Benayin Shechazak HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'adal Moshe. I don't even know that Hashem eventually was maskim to Moshe. Shenem Rav Yom Hashem Salachti Kidva Recha. Tani Rav Tani Tvei Rav Yishmael Kidva Recha Asidim Umos Olam Lamer came. The nations of the world are indeed going to say this. Ashrei Ha Talmid Sharabbai Maideloi. Praiseworthy is the Talmud that the master, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu admits to him. Vulam Chai Ani. And finally he says the pasuk, but as I live, Amar Rav Yitzchak Laim Shamer like HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe, Moshe Hechisani B'dvarecha. Moshe, with your words you've kept me alive, that the nations won't question me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Stop. Actually, let's just let's just finish Talmud. Tarish Rav Simlai. First, you should praise Hashem, then daven. Minalon. Where do you know this from? Mi Moshe. Tachsev eschan el Hashem beisahi. Uksev Hashem likim atei los el aretz avdachas kel chavas yad chavas kel Hashem kel b'Hashemayim v'aretz asher yasech masach v'ursecha. First, he said, I implore of you, Hashem. First, he said. And then he says, Shem, you show your servant the greatness, your strong hand, the power, the koyach, the shvayim v'aretz. And only after all these shvachos, then Iksiv Asrei, Ebra, Nav, Eretz, Aretz, Atayv, let me cross in. Only after Moshe Rabbeinu praised Hashem, did he then make his request. We'll stop over here and we'll pick it up on Amud Yomi next year, B'siyata Dishmaya.